Okay guys, today we're going to talk about the friend zone. You know, that dreaded place where you've been trying to give her your attention, treating her like a queen, and then suddenly she says, out of nowhere, "You're like a brother to me. You have done everything you possibly can, you're doing all of the nice guy things," and she puts you in the friend zone. So today, I'm going to completely flip this on its head, and I'm going to tell you that you need to friend zone her first. Yeah, you heard me right. You're going to friend zone her first, and I'm going to explain why this is going to drive her absolutely crazy, and I'm going to explain how this creates more attraction than you ever would believe. So let's dive in. First, let's talk about what the friend zone actually is, or why it even exists. So most guys fall into it because they're too available. They're overly attentive, overly eager. You know, they give her too many compliments, and let's be honest, it comes across as too desperate to impress her. Don't get me wrong, like, being kind and supportive as a friend, that's not a bad quality to have, but if you're gonna be putting her on a pedestal all the time and prioritizing her over yourself, then you've become a doormat, and you're never gonna attract her like that. She's subconsciously thinking, if he's focusing on me all the time, then does he even have any purpose of his own? That's not attractive. That's gross, and we need to do better than that. On top of that, when we're trying to impress someone too much, we just come across as anxious or weak, and that's not the frame that we're trying to achieve. So what I'm going to share with you guys is the light bulb moment I had when I learned that not caring and just creating fun for myself and what was good for my energy is what she really wants. So I'm going to tell you the story of my very first date. Now, this was a girl that I was speaking to online for a little bit, and I was really nervous that the date had to go well. I put so much pressure on it. I was like, the date has to do well. It's my first date, I can't screw it up. Now, I will say that this was before I had any game or any riz with girls, and I had no game plan whatsoever. But I still found this date to be a lesson that was revolutionary for me. So I took my date to this really nice bar, and we went to go get some drinks. And I had, like I said, zero game plan, and I was really nervous to impress her. And I was shaking, and I was struggling to come up with conversations to keep it going and flowing, and it was painful. Like, I seemed so awkward and anxious, and I could tell that it was making her uncomfortable as well. And we were about 2 drinks in, and I was still a nervous wreck. Like, I was really struggling. So eventually, she kind of had to bring the date to an end. And this date was hopeless at this point, so she finally put me out of my misery. And she said, "Look, you seem like a really nice guy." She even said that she thought I was cute, but because I had no confidence in myself, she just said that we should just be friends. So, there you have it. She said that she had friend-zoned me. And somehow, this magically flipped something in me without even realizing. So I replied back to her and I said, "So, if we're just friends, does that mean the date's over?" And of course she kind of looked at me a bit weird and she was like, "Yeah, I guess the date is over." And I said, "We're just 2 friends that are hanging out now? Okay, this is great. This is absolutely awesome." And she seemed really confused, and I will admit that my reaction was like, maybe a bit too positive for this to end, but, still, that's how it went. Like, I was just, felt like this weight had been lifted off of my shoulder. Like, I was so happy to just have no more pressure to impress her. And so I said to her, "How about we go get some food, but not here because this is a fancy bar and I don't really need any fancy food." And she was like, "Well, what do you want?" And at the time, I really wanted Subway. So we went for a little walk and I took her to Subway, and on the way I was laughing and joking, and I was no longer trying to impress her. Like, the whole time the conversations were, what's fun for me? What jokes make me laugh? And when we got to Subway, she didn't even get any food. This was solely for my enjoyment. And I look across from me and I can just see this girl sitting there with so much confusion in her eyes. She was like, what the heck changed? Like, I went from this nervous wreck to suddenly just being happy-go-lucky because it was for myself. And she even asked me, like, what the hell happened? And I told her, like, well, I was hungry, and since we're just friends, I don't need to try anymore. This is just how I am. I don't need to impress you. And I was okay with us just being friends, because clearly it made me feel a lot more comfortable. And I kid you not, I'm halfway through devouring my foot-long meatball sub, and she says to me, whilst I'm looking like an absolute mess, she said, I think I like you. And surprised, I said, well, we're just friends. And I couldn't understand it, and quite frankly, neither could she. Like, the whole situation had been flipped around. Now, I later realized that me becoming suddenly unavailable to her, it made her want me so much more. It did a complete override of her logical brain. And it's because I showed confidence in myself, I didn't prioritize her, she wasn't on a pedestal, and I was just having a good time for only me. And because I was having fun, she wanted to come along for the ride. Now here's the psychology behind this. People value what they have to work for. This is called the scarcity principle. Now, if something's too easy, or somebody is too easy to get, it loses its value. So think about it. Would you cherish a trophy if it was just for simply showing up, like a participation award? Or do we cherish those trophies that you have to work your butt off for? Now the same applies here. When you're less available and not constantly showering her with attention, she starts to see you as a challenge. And challenges are very attractive. Okay, so now you're going to want some practical advice so that you can actually put her in the friend zone. And here's some actionable tips, because once you have put her in the friend zone, you also need to follow through with that with your actions. So remember to do what makes you happy. I want you to stop focusing on what she wants all the time, because you can't take her on an adventure if you're not going somewhere to take her. Alright, I want you to think about that. You can't take her on an adventure if you're not going somewhere to take her. If you're just following her, you're not going to take her anywhere. You're just following. But she wants to follow you, so you need to make a choice of where do you want to go that makes you happy, and she'll want to tag along afterwards. Now, the next thing is you need to keep things playful. Think about how you hang out with your friends. You don't compliment your friends all the time, do you? Sometimes you tease them and you make jokes, or you sometimes bully each other to some degree, but all in a bit of fun, some in-jokes between your friends. You need to treat her the same, okay? She needs to get the same treatment as your friends. Otherwise, she's a girl that you're after and you're putting her on a pedestal, okay? Your friends aren't on pedestals. Your friends are at the same level as you, and she needs to be at the same level as you, or, dare I say, even lower, okay? Now, I know that's controversial to say, but that's how you need to see yourself, and you need to see her. She needs to be chasing after you. And another way to do this is, again, controversial, but flirt casually with other people. And this one's important because when she sees that you're not exclusively focused on her and you're looking at other women that you enjoy your company with, she'll start to feel competitive. And I want you to do this subtly. Try not to make it the goal to make her jealous, but it is to show that you have other options, okay? Remember, you're the prize, and there's going to be more people after the prize. And if she starts to test you, like if you were chatting to a girl and she starts going, well, who was that you were talking to? This is where you come back with, well, you're not getting jealous, are you? Chill out. We're just friends, remember? Put her in her place. And that line, chill out, we're just friends, remember? That line is going to wind her up so much. And I'm probably going to cover this point with a bit more detail in another video. But it's key to getting out of some really tough friend zones. Now, you may be thinking, and a little bit hesitant thinking, but won't she lose interest if I'm not giving her all my attention? Here's the thing. If she does lose interest, she's not the right person anyway. But more often than not, this approach will make you more attractive in her eyes. Why? Because you're showing her that you're not desperate. You're confident, you're independent, and the focus is on your own fun. And even if she doesn't become romantically interested, you're still going to preserve your dignity and avoid wasting time on a one-sided situation. So the main takeaway from this, guys, is women like the chase. But if you don't give them a challenge, they're not going to chase you. Okay? They like the challenge of the chase. Now, if there is a girl that you're really attracted to, that you're really fawning over, just try and throw her in the friend zone. See how that changes your behavior. If you tell her, yeah, we're just friends, and you give attention elsewhere, see how that changes her behavior and if that triggers anything in her. Chances are you'll catch her off guard and she will suddenly start chasing after you in ways that you wouldn't have ever imagined before. So tell me, guys, if this resonates with you. Have you ever put a girl in the friend zone before? Are you going to try and put a girl in the friend zone? You know, this might take a bit of time. It's not going to be an overnight success, but I promise you that if you change your mindset on this and make sure that you're the prize being chased after, she is going to come after you. Now, one last thing, don't forget to subscribe, guys. Share this with any friends that you feel really needs to hear this. We've got to help each other, guys, okay? We've got to help our fellow men. And as always, stay focused, stay confident, and just keep leveling up. I'll see you very soon.